In a bold new economic move, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on any country that imports oil from Venezuela. The measure, set to take effect on April 2nd, is designed to put economic pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro while simultaneously targeting major oil buyers like China and India. Trump framed the decision as a national security measure, claiming that Venezuela has been intentionally sending criminals to the United States. He accused the South American nation of using illegal immigration as a weapon, particularly by allowing members of the notorious Tren de Aragua gang to cross into the U.S. Venezuela keeps sending murderers and people of a very violent nature, Trump stated in a press conference. The administration has officially classified Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization and has intensified deportations of suspected members. Rather than imposing direct sanctions on Caracas, the U.S. is instead targeting countries that sustain Venezuela's oil-dependent economy. China, the biggest buyer of Venezuelan crude, has found itself at the center of Trump's latest economic offensive. China currently imports over 500,000 barrels of Venezuelan crude per day, accounting for more than 55% of Venezuela's total oil exports. By imposing tariffs on nations purchasing from Venezuela, the U.S. is forcing Beijing to either cut ties with Caracas or pay a steep financial price. China has strongly condemned the U.S. decision, warning of potential retaliatory measures. The United States has long abused illegal unilateral sanctions, said a spokesperson for China's foreign ministry. China firmly opposes this and urges the U.S. to stop interfering in Venezuela's internal affairs. There are no winners in trade or tariff wars. Beijing has already been engaged in an ongoing trade war with Washington, facing a blanket 20% tariff on all Chinese imports and an additional 25% tariff on steel and aluminum. Now, if China refuses to stop buying Venezuelan oil, Trump is prepared to escalate tariffs to 45% on all Chinese goods and a staggering 70% on steel and aluminum. Economic experts warn that this aggressive stance could trigger another round of economic instability, worsening already fragile U.S.-China trade relations. India is also at risk of significant economic disruption due to the new tariffs. After years of halted trade with Venezuela because of previous U.S. sanctions, India resumed imports in 2024, purchasing 22 million barrels of oil. Now, those purchases could come at a heavy cost. With growing energy demands and limited alternative suppliers, India faces a tough choice: either comply with the U.S. sanctions and lose access to cheaper Venezuelan crude, or risk economic penalties that could affect its broader trade relationship with the U.S. Political analysts suggest that India may attempt to negotiate exemptions or find alternative payment methods to bypass sanctions. However, Washington's firm stance suggests that any loopholes will be aggressively closed. Despite facing increasing economic isolation, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro has vowed to resist U.S. pressure. "We defeated yesterday's sanctions, and we will also defeat those to come," Maduro declared in a national address. They can sanction and impose tariffs on whoever they want. What they will not be able to sanction is the love and patriotism of the Venezuelan people. However, analysts believe that Venezuela's economic situation could become dire if its top buyers, China and India, are forced to halt imports. With oil revenues serving as the backbone of Venezuela's economy, the nation may struggle to fund public services, leading to further unrest. While Trump's order imposes harsh penalties on foreign nations buying Venezuelan oil, one major player has been granted an exemption: American oil giant Chevron. Chevron, which operates in Venezuela, was originally required to shut down its activities. However, Trump's administration has now given the company an extension until May 27th, allowing it to continue operations while other nations are penalized. Critics argue that this move highlights a double standard in U.S. policy. While foreign buyers are being punished for engaging with Venezuela, American companies appear to be receiving special treatment. Some experts suggest that this could lead to U.S. firms profiting at the expense of other nations forced out of the Venezuelan oil market. As the April 2nd deadline approaches, global markets are bracing for potential disruptions. The oil industry is particularly vulnerable, with experts predicting price fluctuations and possible supply chain issues. If China and India reduce their Venezuelan imports, other oil-producing nations could step in to fill the gap. However, the long-term effects of the tariffs remain uncertain, and energy prices could become increasingly volatile in the coming months. For now, the world watches as Trump escalates his economic war on Venezuela, one that could have far-reaching consequences for global trade and international diplomacy.